Good morning, gardening friends. It's now Sunday at about 11 a.m. and I was out here in the garden a little bit ago trying to clean up some of the dead branches and what have you on some of these plants. And well, let me show you what happened with the tomato plant. I suppose for you this is probably pretty hard to see, but this is the Somerset tomato, the one that gave me that one big tomato, which was really good. And I was trying to clean off dead branches, like I said, dead leaves that kind of hang off a tomato plant here and there. And well, I was trying to trace back to a larger branch so I could cut off and make it not quite so leggy when I cut it off, and unfortunately this is what happened. I went a little too far, not realizing, and ended up cutting off a larger branch that had plenty of green on it. So change of plans. I've cut these down to sort of a better size with decent sized legs, and I'm going to go ahead and root these from the branches. And I got plenty of room in here because of the 4 big sections in this planter. Only one of them actually has a plant. So I'm going to go ahead and plant them throughout. The other plan was I was going to do the fava beans, but I think I'll try the tomatoes and just see if it works. Otherwise I'll end up digging up and adding in vermiculite and then ultimately putting in the fava beans. But let's take a look at what that looks like. Give me a moment. Alright, this angle might be a little harder to work with here. I've got the camera kind of propped up precariously, but I just wanted to show you how I do this rooting. Just in case you've never tried it before, with tomatoes it's particularly easy to root. All you've got to do is just cut off a piece and grab one here. Oops. Hang on, I got to pick something up. But so here's a piece, and all I've done is cut kind of at an angle at the base of it. This was just one branch on there, and I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to dig a little hole. I don't want to just jam it in. I actually want to dig a hole, because what I want to do is throw in a little bit of liquid fertilizer. I've done this before, and I haven't gone with the rooting hormone or anything complicated like that. I just put in standard, it's like a powder that you mix in with water, and it gives you a liquid fertilizer. Then I'll just put this back in here, fill in the hole, pat it down a bit to give it some support. And what actually happens if you look at a tomato plant, you look at the branches, you see all these tiny little hairs hanging off of it. Well, when you bury those hairs, they turn into roots. It's that simple. I'm going to dig another little hole here, put a little bit of liquid fertilizer, wash, rinse, repeat, right? It's basically like that. So let me do one more, and then I'll show you what I do next. Okay, so that's 3 in this section. There's actually 3 more in another section, and 2 more in a third section. That's 8 potential plants. That's overkill, I know, but I cut that much off, so I figured I'd try and save what I could. Another thing to point out is when you root the plant, you probably want to cut off some of the lower branches so you have a bit of a stalk that you can actually put in the ground. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm just going to go back around to all the ones I transplanted and throw on some more liquid fertilizer. I don't really think you can over-fertilize. Yeah, see, actually this one, I just noticed after doing that I didn't pack it in well enough, so the hole kind of opened up, so I'm going to redo that, and maybe a little bit more. But I'll do that for all 8 plants, and then we'll just watch them grow. Good afternoon, gardening friends. It's now Saturday, and just before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's take a look around and see what we find. First off, we have the cuttings that I did for the tomatoes. Some of them are doing better than others. Some of them look like they just plain died. That's I guess kind of par for the course. I put quite a few of them in there. I didn't give them all as much attention as maybe I could have, but some of them seem to be surviving and have kind of popped back up. It's been, what, about a week now? Yeah, 12th, I guess it was Sunday that I did that, and here it is Saturday. So it's been 6 days, and you can kind of see what they look like. We'll just keep watching them, and I'll pull the ones that have pretty much died, and we'll give more attention to the others. Next, we have the pepper plants. Now, I've been watching all week to try and see if I see any more leaf hoppers, and I guess it's when I'm just not paying attention that they show up, because I haven't seen them this week. I've had more leaf drop, but they seem to be holding on pretty well, and I'm starting to see flowers showing up on the Marconi. The other thing is the one on the left, which you can kind of see with the big stick there. I've had to do quite a bit of supporting. I came out this morning and found that they were leaning way out over over the rest of the plants here. I think they're just kind of falling under their own weight, so I put a bunch of garden tape up there to try and hold them up. We'll see how that does, and hopefully those flowers will turn into peppers. Third, we have the fava beans in these two planters, and I don't yet see them sprouting. It's been, again, 6 days. I did this last Sunday. I think the last ones took about a week or so before they started popping out, so we'll give them another week. We'll see how they're doing there. If not, then I'll have to figure out what else I can do. I did try soaking them for a couple of hours, which really may not be enough, before I put them in. I was hoping that would help. I've been watching all this week to try and make sure I keep enough water on them, keep everything moist, but there have been a couple of hot days, but generally it's cooling down now. So we'll just keep watching, see what we get. There's not too much worth mentioning on these two tomato plants near the corner. They, I mean, they haven't been looking really sick all week, but they haven't been looking any better, so we'll just maybe give them another week. There is one tomato on the one on the left there. I'm going to let that keep going, but it may just be that the weather has kind of changed and they just aren't responding, and that may be why I'm not seeing any flowers on any of my tomato plants. Actually, I thought I just saw another tiny little tomato, but let me take a look at that. Nope, it's a false alarm. So we'll just watch these and see what they do. If they don't do anything much in the next week or so, I'll probably take them out and add some vermiculite and plant the fava beans. Speaking of which, this is that first planter with the 5 seeds, or now 5 plants. Actually, the one in the back on the right is actually kind of fallen over a little bit and heading into the tomato planter to the right. But I've got what looks like at least 4 healthy plants in there, which has me happy. Here's the biggest of the coleus plants. It seems to still be doing okay. I've actually debated now cutting off some of the damaged leaves because they don't look quite so good, and honestly there's enough foliage on the plant I don't think it's going to do any harm. And on the other side of the pergola we have the other coleus, which is doing really nicely. I especially like the one in the front with those bright reddish, almost pink hues. Looks really nice. That takes us over to the Shasta daisy in coleus at the base of the stairs. And the coleus, while they were not looking really good a couple of weeks ago, are starting to bounce back. The Shasta daisy I'm not so sure about. I'm going to have to look it up and try and figure out when I should expect these to bloom. I'm not really expecting it soon, but it's nice to see the plant is at least looking reasonably healthy. And as we near the end, I wanted to show you these two 20-gallon planters separately. This one's got the coleus starting to pop up and look really good. The petunias are not looking quite as nice. I tried a deadhead and cut off the dead parts of the branches, but it's just not quite holding up as well, and that might just be the season here. They might be dying off. Actually, coleus is getting big enough now I could probably just yank these petunias and the whole planter would look that much better. And finally that takes us to the other 20-gallon planter, where the plant that I assume is a 4 o'clock is just getting bigger and bigger. I'm not seeing any signs of flowers, but you know, if it does start to bloom, it's going to be pretty spectacular. The petunias are doing a little better in this one than the other one, although the coleus is turning really kind of grayish. But that's what things are looking like around here. So this is the Budget Gardener signing off, saying may your thumb be green.